Just About Sailing, February 2021. This one is all going to be about this little device here called a Zoom F2. It's a portable recording thing linked up to a lavalier mic, which I think is going to solve, I'm pretty sure it is going to solve the problem that I've been working on with the videos on this channel. So as I mentioned last month, not an awful lot of work going on in the boat, although as we speak Lucy is sanding the V berth and doing the stuff ready for some prep work. The weather has got significantly nicer now, so hopefully there will be some epoxy work and stuff, but my bandwidth has just been taken off over with other projects, other things which I can't do anything about, so that's just one of those things. I don't like January and February anyway, but anyway, in the last video I talked about the project plans and had a conversation with Michael from Sailing Gently about sound and what a problem that was, particularly with sailing videos with wind noise and the need to put a lavalier and keep the sound close to here and all sorts of things. And I think this is, by the way, check out his channel, Sailing Gently. If you're interested in going into the ports in northern France, he's done some great sort of pilotage videos, which has given me an awful lot of confidence that when I go into some of these ports, which look great, by the way, I'm quite like to do that. So thanks, Michael. I will put a link to his channel below. So this is going to be fairly boring to some people because you might not be interested in technology, but hopefully the quality of the sound. What I'll do actually, I'll show you a clip of this actually in use. Put headphones on, by the way, because then you can check out. And this was a very windy day, and if you're a regular watcher or listener, you'll know that I do have problems with the wind noise with the external microphones that I use. So just have a look at this clip and see if you notice a difference. Right, so my task today is I need to do a bit of writing work, and I thought good opportunity to actually sit on Serenity with the heater on and see how it works in snowy conditions. So I put the ladder up. I have had a quick look in the cockpit. Oh, I need to get some tools, hang on. So I needed to go back and get something to scrape the snow off, because there is we don't get an awful lot of snow here. That's deep for this part of the world. And that's deeper than Serenity's ever seen, so should be a good test of the diesel heater. So I've cleared out the inlet for the heater and the inlet for the air, and now I need to see if I can actually get in the boat. Brr. Right, carpet in. Lucy's been doing an awful lot of cleaning and stuff on the floor, so oh, that landed well. I need to take my shoes off before I get in. Right, so I've got the heater on. It's a bit dark in here, but I've got one light glaring at me from the LED, and I forgot to clear the windows, but I've got my shoes off. I've put the heater on. I'm trying out a new device, by the way, which I'm hoping is going to make the audio on this channel better. It's a Zoom F2. I'll do a quick review of it at some point, but I didn't want to go wireless, and I've got a lavalier mic strapped on here. The camera is right above the heater outlet, so the sound from that should be really fairly loud, and if it was just the microphone, in fact I'll switch to the camera now and back to the lavalier now. So I don't know if there's a difference there or not, but it does mean I need to synchronize the sound, but I'd rather do that than have a wireless thing that might go wrong, and I'm hoping it's going to help with wind noise and things like that. And there's a bit of clever technology and gimmickry in here which I just couldn't resist, so I'll as I say, I'll do a quick review of that later. Right, the heater's been going for about 10 minutes. The temperature in here wasn't as cold as I thought. It was about 2.5 degrees centigrade and 99% relative humidity. I can feel the heat already coming out. That diesel heater is just great. I think I just said I forgot to clear the snow from the windows, and I'm not going out again. Right, I will report back later and tell you how the heater's gone on and how long it's taken. Right, I finished what I needed to do in terms of writing. I just put the laptop away, and it's taken about 90 minutes, an hour and a half, to get up to 18 degrees centigrade. So that's about 6-7 minutes per degree, although the initial bit, it seemed to get up to sort of 14, 15 very quickly, and it's just slowed down. That's partly obviously because I do draw the air in from the outside, which is colder, for reasons that I covered in huge amount of depth when I did the condensation and humidity tests. And also there's absolutely no, and I can feel that if I put my hand on the side of the boat, I can feel that that's cold out there. So it's probably about 0 out there now. I think it was due to go down to about -2, -3 or something. So a lot of warmth is being wasted. But and the relative humidity is down to 56%. It feels really comfortable in here. I could take my jumper off, but it's actually a very, very, very pleasant heat. Very nice. Yeah, I'm still very happy with this heater. Be interesting when I do get all the. I'm not going to put a huge amount of insulation up. I can't remember. I think it was in the theory one when I did the condensation that I used a little modelling tool to show the temperature differential inside and outside depending on how much Armaflex you put on it, although it wasn't really, the tool I used wasn't designed for a boat. But no, I'm very, very happy with this. I'm sure that a Webasto or an Eberspecher or whatever else would work just as well, but at 1/10 the price so far, touch wood, luckily there's plenty of wood around. Very happy with this Chinese diesel heater. And yeah, so that's it. I now need to trudge my way a whole 100 steps back in the snow to my nice warm. This is lovely though. This is just super. It's really, really pleasant. There you go. I think, to be quite honest, that clip alone, if you're not interested in the rest of this, then I shall see you in March. Have a good have a good time, and hopefully get some actual boat work. But regular listeners, readers, watchers will know that I do like to do experiments. There's a theory to these things, and there is some fantastic technology in here which I knew would make a difference, and it really does. But I like to do experiments. I mean, I'm sure that some of you will remember the fact that when I put the foam in my rudder, I built up a mock rudder with a see-through front so I could see how the foam would expand and make sure it would get into all the nooks and crannies and so on. Right, so what I'm doing is I'm pouring it through a sort of a sieve thing, which apparently helps to get the bubbles out from the whisking and gives you a more consistent mix. And then when I did the calculations with my diesel heater, I did the theory about why it would be better to take the air from outside rather than inside to do with relative humidity and condensation, etc. But I then did a couple of back-to-back experiments to just test that was actually true, which it was. I explained in the theory part 1 why we can see this sort of crossover. We can see the relative humidity dropping significantly as the air heats up, and that's just to do with the way that relative humidity is calculated, and that was all covered in the first video. So we can see in experiment 1 that as I'm putting moisture into the air by making the cups of tea and so on, it's gradually going up. It got to a maximum of 75. So basically, what is this? As I say, it's called a Zoom F2. It's small, it's very easy to use. Two things I wanted. Basically, you don't have to set any gain or anything or any levels, and it hasn't got an automatic function on it, which is, some people use this, but you can always tell if somebody's used an automatic gain setting on a video because it just sounds awful. So it's small, it's simple to use, and very key, it's got something called 32-bit floating point technology, which means it will never, ever, ever, ever clip, which is a big problem with audio. You have to set the levels. And if it, well, let's do a quick ABC of clipping first. I'm not going to go into the detail about the 32-bit technology, 32-bit floating point technology, which is very different from 24-bit technology or even 32-bit fixed technology. I will link another video down below where somebody has explained, I've forgotten the name of the channel, brilliantly how this works. But this will never, ever, ever clip. So what is clipping? ABCs. First of all, here's the A and the B. Those aren't supposed to be sausages, they're supposed to be like sine waves. And this 0 point is something, and you'll know this if you've ever tried to actually fit a, to try and record anything, you have to kind of set an input level. And basically, you never ever want the signal to get too loud so that it goes over 0. You have to sort of turn things down. If you turn it down too far, things become very noisy and very hissy. And typically what you aim for is in normal conversation, you don't want it to go above -12. That gives you a bit more headroom, a bit extra that you can go up to. Because if you do go over that 0 point, that's where we get clipping. And that's a little bit like my hand going out of frame. You can't see it. And let's just imagine that you were videoing something and the thing that you really wanted people to see was just out of frame. There's no way you can get it back. And let's go on to see. This is basically what happens. Digitally, there is an absolute cutoff at that 0. So look, I'm actually, if you can guess how many fingers I'm holding up, I will give you £100. That actually doesn't work because statistically it only takes 5 of you to get together. And anyway, but you get the point. If once you go above that, and there are two situations you never want to be in. One is standing between a mother bear and its cubs. Dangerous. Even more dangerous is standing in front of a bride when you have videoed and the sound quality is so bad and there's lots of clipping because you can never get that back. That horrible sound of clipping, let's get rid of this. That horrible sound of clipping, it sounds like speaking through a cheese grater. It's just awful. It's not like in the old days when if you overloaded the input too much with tapes or valves and things, you get kind of a nice warm softening, and it can make vocals sound nice, it can make guitars sound fantastic. It just stops, it clips absolutely dead. And because of the 32-bit floating point technology, you will never get clipping on this, so you don't have to set a level. And when I say never, I really mean never. If we look at decibels, I'm talking probably about 60 decibels. That's probably about what normal sort of speaking voice is. Whisper is down at sort of 510 or something. If you get a pneumatic, I should have looked at these first actually, but anyway, a rocket taking off is about 180. That would kill you. You lose your eardrums at about 160. 180 is death. 32 floating point technology allows you to go up to about 1,500, which I think is physically impossible. I think the air would actually react before you got to that level. So you could put a microphone inside the cabinets at a rock concert and it wouldn't clip. So that's what I mean by never clipping. But as I say, look at the video below that I've linked to if you want to know how the 32-bit works, because it is literally scientific magic. Wind noise. Wind noise is a result of partly about clipping. Well, anyway, let's have a look at an example of a bad wind noise problem that I had a few years ago when my camera fell down and the mount that holds the external mic, which has got a dead cat, this sort of furry stuff which can stop wind noise. And let's have a look at what bad wind noise and clipping can look like. Right, I might have to do a talk over this because the camera today, the camera fell off its perch. So that was a pain, and I had to do the rest of that trip with just the camera microphone and occasionally plugging the external microphone and sort of holding it. It really wasn't working very well at all. So the first experiment I wanted to do is the F2, the Zoom F2 versus the normal external mic that I use, and you will have been used to if you've watched this channel, and just the camera mic. Ignore what I'm actually saying, look at the text that says which device it's on. And as I say, do wear headphones for this, and you will most definitely notice a difference. So let's have a look at this in quite significant wind. Right, so I'm literally just standing outside doing a wind noise test. So what I'll do, this first bit, this is with the lavalier microphone and the F2, and then I'm going to switch to the external mic, which is the one that you'll be hearing now. The wind's just dropped. Isn't that typical? So it's still probably bad, I don't know, but anyway, that's the wind going. I'm now going to actually unplug that and just do it on the camera mic. Right, so I'm literally just standing outside doing a wind noise test. So what I'll do, this first bit, this is with the lavalier microphone and the F2, and then I'm going to switch to the external mic, which is the one that you'll be hearing now. The wind's just dropped. Isn't that typical? So it's still probably bad, I don't know, but anyway, that's the wind going. I'm now going to actually unplug that and just do it on the camera mic. So that is the camera mic, which is probably quite bad. And then I'm going to switch back now to the lavalier microphone and the F2, and just to prove that I'm not standing in a wind shadow, I'll move closer. So this is me facing directly at the wind now with the lavalier on. Now I'm just hoping that this is gonna work. So there we go, 32-bit floating point, etc. with this little device. I'm hoping this is going to work. Obviously the F1 wins absolutely heads down with just this tiny little type of dead mouse thing. In the very first clip that I showed before, by the way, I just had a little foam thing because that's what came with it, but now I've put this on and that's perfect. I'm happy with that. In a way, that's all I needed to do. But I did want to test and see. The thing which I tried before was this, which is a lot bigger. This is the Zoom H1. These are quite cheap. You can pick these up second hand. With this, you do need to set the level. So you could have clipping, but it is a good quality thing. But it's bigger, it's more complicated. There's lots of settings. You don't just press it to turn on. So I wanted to actually have a look without a dead cat on it and see if there was any difference in the wind noise or the clipping with these two. So let's have a look at this quick test. Oh, this is cold. I'm not going to stand here too long. Oh, this is cold. I'm not going to stand here too long. I would say that was pretty equal, actually. I think this is good. I don't have any problems with this. This is a good thing. It's just slightly too big, slightly too complicated. And by the way, if you're shouting wireless, 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 I don't want a wireless thing. They can go wrong. I've had issues before in different contexts where wireless has stopped working and you don't have a backup. At least with this, I've got the camera as a backup, so I have actually got the sound going. Let's test the clipping though. So what I'm going to do in the next test is actually set this to, so it's going up to about -12 with normal speech. The F2, as I say, you don't set anything. And I'm going to do what's called the whisper shout test. So I'm literally going to, so apologies in this next one, I'm going to whisper, and there's a bit of ASMR going on, which I really do apologise for because I personally really cannot stand it. And there's also very loud shouts, and see if you can see if there's any clipping between the two of these. Look, dolphins, that's amazing. Let's keep quiet because otherwise they might run away. Look, dolphins, that's absolutely amazing. Look at this, dolphins. Can you see that? Dolphins there. Look, dolphins. That's amazing. Let's keep quiet because otherwise they might run away. Look, dolphins, that's absolutely amazing. Look at this, dolphins. Can you see that? Dolphins there. Now I have to say the H1 actually did much better than I was expecting it to do there. I was very pleased with that. I don't do retakes on this channel, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that test and try and shout any louder. But there was a slight bit of clipping on the first D when I shouted dolphins. If I'm using power tools, it clips straight away. And if you get powerful wind, it clips straight away. So, but what I did notice, and obviously the one thing you do have to do is post-processing, you do have to up the level of the signal, which I did on both of them, that the noise floor can come up. I was slightly disappointed with the noise floor level of this, but I think that might have been because of other things like the fridge being on and all sorts of things. So the next test was to do a noise floor test. Now if I'm really doing any serious sound stuff, which I don't do on the boat, I tend to use this, which is a Zoom H5. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Zoom, I just like a lot of their products. I do use Tascam products as well, which is a recorder with a very low noise floor. You can put a lavalier mic into the side, you can use this mic, or you can just use it as a recorder. And one of the things that this also has, by the way, this is great for recording music, is it will record a backup file at a lower level, which is what the Tascam DL10, I think, oh gosh, is it called the DL10? I'll put the correct thing up there if I've got that wrong. I think it's the Tascam DL10. So it records one thing at one gain setting and another thing at another gain setting. And this is what wedding photographers and videos use all the time. It's the industry standard for that. I think this was going to become the industry standard. So anyway, oh, and the other thing I will do is use a really good quality mic. This is almost noiseless. This is quiet. This is a Rode NT1A. This is a great vocal mic. So let's do a very unfair test in a vocal booth, and you will recognize the cushions from my boat as this cupboard which I've used for a vocal booth, and see which is the lowest floor noise as I just speak into the camera. And I'm going to use, see if you recognize this poem, but I'll give you a clue. It's The Ancient Mariner, and as you know from those who've watched me since I was in Watch It was the harbour that inspired the author of that to actually write the poem in the first place. So let's have a quick look at this very unfair test. Right, this is very unscientific. I've got to do this quickly. I had to do this at night because there was lots of noise outside, and there's a creature crawling around on the roof at the moment. So I'm going to try and get this between the creature crawling around on the thing. So I'm just going to read this into the NT1, and I've also got the F2 and see which is the quietest noise floor. There passed a weary time. Each throat was parched and glazed each eye. A weary time, how glazed each weary eye. When looking westward, I beheld a something in the sky. At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved, and took at last a certain shape I wist. A speck, a mist, a shape I wist, and still it neared and neared. As if it dodged a water sprite, it plunged and tacked and veered. With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, we could nor laugh nor wail. Through utter drought all dumb we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked the blood, and cried, "A sail, a sail!" See how that works? Do you know what? I said it was unfair, but I actually couldn't, with headphones on, tell the difference there. I did measure it, and bizarrely, and I'm not quite sure why this is, the Zoom actually, you measure the noise floor from the ceiling, by the way. So that's 0, and the more minuses you get, the better. So the Zoom came out at about, the Zoom F2 came out at about -65, and the NT1 plus the H5 came in at about 55. The gold standard is about 60. You need to be below 60. Say audiobooks, they set the standard of 60. So, but in the real world, both of those are perfectly acceptable. So I was very, very pleased and surprised with this. You can tell there's a difference in the audio quality, but that's fine. That's really not an issue at all. So downside of doing this, well, first of all, there's a bit of post-processing to do. Once you've got your video, you need to import this into your video file. There is an automatic thing on most video software so that you can synchronize. What I use is Power Director, which is good, but it's not very good, to be quite honest. And it doesn't allow me to up the levels enough in post-processing if I've done something fairly quiet on this. So what I tend to do is put this into a DAW, a digital audio workstation. I use Audacity because it's free, and then just normalize it to -3.2. So that's 0, that's 3.2, normalize it to -3.2, and then stick it into the editing software. And to be quite honest, at the moment with the external mic, I'm doing so much post-processing of the sound anyway to try and get rid of the wind noise. This is going to save a lot of time. So the post-processing isn't really a problem. The other problem is, can you imagine in the 1960s, if we'd have gone straight in with 32-bit floating point technology, we wouldn't have any of that lovely warm harmonic distortion and saturation in the guitar sounds. Can you imagine if Dave Davis had been sitting down in his, I know there are different stories about how he came up with this sound, but can you imagine if he'd been sitting in his flat late at night one drunken night and wanted to come up with that famous guitar riff which sounds like, right, how am I going to get that tone that I need to finish off this song? How about if I just turn everything on the amp up to 11 and try that? Perfect. I'll leave that to the engineers. They can sort that out. I'm going to sleep all day tomorrow. Fantastic job done. What we'd have ended up is something more like, and apologies, I'm not a guitar player, and I have to say that because there's no other way you could tell from this. Otherwise, we'd have ended up more with something like. And the world would have been a very different place. But for me, I don't know if that was useful. This is just real world stuff. There's some very good reviews by people who really know about this stuff, particularly the wedding film people, because as I say, you don't want to be on the wrong side of an angry bride when your sound has gone wrong. I think this is fantastic. I will be using it from now on in, and hopefully you'll notice better sound quality. And if it's me and Lucy doing something, I might actually try the two of them. So I might actually give her this one. And she can try that one. She tends not to shout as much as me, and see what happens. Anyway, that's it for this month. Hope that wasn't too techy, but if you weren't interested in this, you'd have turned off ages ago. And I shall see you for the March video, where the weather it's astonishing. It's just got so much better. It's literally rained solidly from before Christmas till now, and now we've got several days and weeks of dry weather, so I'm hoping to really crack on with a few projects. I might not get any free time until about the end of March though, but there is some video of looking at sales and a few other bits and pieces, so I do have some video saved up that I can show, so next time will be more boat stuff. Thank you for bearing with me, and see you next time.